Donald Trump calling the anti-Israeli student protesters radical left morons. And I think that's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah.
Stop, you're under arrest. Stop.
Oh, wow. All right, it looks like the Giants' running game. It looks like D-Day, but for dummies or for idiots. Anti-Israel mob charging at cops at Portland State University, bursting from the campus library with garbage can shields, only to be quickly shut down by the cops. But that's not all the brazen stupidity. Before cops shut down the UCLA Gaza encampment, we watched that live in the morning, Bill Malugin getting his hands on a list of their demands. The wannabe revolutionaries asking supporters for vegan and gluten-free food, zip ties, shields, EpiPens. You know, they have imbalanced blood sugar. No, I think it's to prevent a septic shock. And it's not just divestment from Israel that they're asking for pro-Hamas students. They're also demanding a buffet of left-wing policies.
Given the fact that the University of California is founded on colonialism, it's inherently a violent institution. It perpetuates war and violence abroad.
We demand that you, Chicago, repair the harm it has caused in Palestine, Chicago, and beyond, as well as implementing a communally accountable program of reparation, disbanding UCPD, expanding employer-assisted housing, decarbonizing the endowment, and reducing emissions by 50% by 2030.
Is this happening? It's real? I don't even know where to go with this. Anthony Fauci just called. You can take the masks off. Even he agrees. It's incredible what we're seeing. Now that their list of demands are out, plywood was also used, I saw. They also had a little medical center, Harold, where people can go in if they had a bruise or a scrape, they can get Bactine and the proper lotion to put underneath their Bactine as well. So what do you think about this? Now that we know more about them, do you start to think that they're maybe not the cutting edge of the next generation of would-be American Navy SEALs?
Well said. I saw a professor on today from NYU, and he was bemoaning the fact, I think it was on our network a little earlier, bemoaning the fact that police are being called onto campuses to break up violent protests. He goes, we have a right to protest. He does have a right to protest, but you don't have a right to vandalize or a right to be violent. Again,
Can I also add that they forced a police chief into a building because he was worried about his welfare? Sorry, go ahead.
No. Look, this is so laughable, but there are people who are actually saying these things, and we're covering it because it's really happening. People who actually want a new economy and want a new economy from the standpoint that we want an economy that is not reliant on fossil fuels. You can agree or disagree with that. People who want more housing for professors and teachers, you can agree or disagree with that. But when you couch it and wrap it in this box here, it not only is it serious, it's something that's not going to get taken seriously by anybody that can actually be a part of changing things. And when you tell University of Chicago to do this or to not do this, get off. Look, they have every right to do it. Go
to a different school.
People think that right. I mean, exactly.
Katie, President Biden is worried about losing their votes.
Look, the universities deserve everything that they're getting with this. They're the ones who have cultivated this ideology saying that you should spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on PhDs about Marxist theory, and now you're seeing it play out. And while a lot of this is very serious, as we talked about in the first block, I have never used the clown emoji more than I have over the past week to describe these people who are demanding vegan and gluten-free food. No bagels, of course, because that would be connected to the Jews.
Why do they say no?
They don't want bagels because they're connected to the Jews. So no bagels for them. No bananas, no nuts. It's like, and then they demand all these other things that they actually want. And it's like, guys, amateurs, if you're gonna have a revolution, you got to bring your own supplies.
And I know you talked about.
You got to have them ready to go.
Yeah, I know you talked about this last night, but there is some good news. The country of Iran is offering scholarships. Shiraz University. They got a great soccer team. So, I mean, do you think some of these people should go right to Shiraz?
No. This is all pure, shallow virtue signaling. Who would have thought that, like, shields made of plastic garbage cans wouldn't be effective? Apparently, none of these kids ever took shop class. These guys are so used to having their demands catered that they now expect actual catering. They better hope that Starbucks doesn't require resumes for those barista openings. But if I were, I guess what bugs me most about it is, like we said before, when they cite trauma.
Yeah.
This is a slap in the face to the families of the victims of October 7th, right? If I were a cop or if I were the police department and we were arresting these people, I would have the cells set up with a video playing that hour-long documentary of the brutalities of that day and force them to witness the true brutality, have them sit alone in a cell listening to that, as well as tapes of victims' parents talking about their dead or missing children. I'd also get countless videos of Iranian leaders and other Muslim leaders giving very specific instructions on what they would do to gays and adulterers, because they need someone or something to burst their entitled bubble. It used to be colleges did that. Remember, you went to college to gain experience, to learn about the world. Now it's designed to protect you from the world, so you can sit there with your poisonous thoughts. And as you noticed, majority of them women.
Right.
Angry women who have allowed themselves to go to pots.
Right.
They're so miserable.
You have to look very close.
They're so miserable. Will they get out of this? I don't know.
Not a go-girl moment.
No.
Hey, Judge, I remember a time in college when the problem was people weren't studying because they're having too good a time. You're partying too much. Get back to work. Now what do you say to your kid? I'd rather a kid show a lack of discipline and party too much than come home and tell me I made a garage shield, a garbage bag shield, and charged the cop.
And that's what I was talking about in the A block when I was talking about the fact that these wusses wouldn't know what it's like to be in the IDF, to pick up an AR-15 and to actually have to go to war. I mean, do you know what else they're asking for? They're asking for the morning after pill. I mean,
no one's sleeping with that.
Yeah, I agree. And they want climate change reform. And if you look at the litter and how they trash the environment, these kids are clueless, spoiled, elitist, stupid hypocrites, okay? And that's just for starters. I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Thanks.
Like I had a choice.
Yeah. Here's the truth. They say that they're traumatized, these wusses, because I don't want to say the other word.
Yes, please.
And they can't tell. Well, I will say it if I have to.
Come on. In the break.
Okay, in the break. That they can't take exams. Think about the thousands of other kids who work jobs to pay for tuition, whose parents scraped so that they could go to these schools, who are trying to study amid the music and the cursing and the crazy anti-Semitism that's going on. They're trying to study. They're the ones who are being intimidated, and they have the right to be protected. And these guys they're upset because the police are coming on campus because they're creating a row. And finally, the majority of these kids are good kids. And I think we should say it. We haven't said it enough. I mean, there are a lot of good kids. These are freaks. And
Some
you know
of them
what?
aren't even students.
40%, 50%
I love
of
the
them aren't.
kids fighting back with their American flags and their taunting. It's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. Maybe it could be a big wake-up call.
University of North Carolina,
And Ole
you
Miss
go.
as well.
By the
And
way,
Ole Miss.
Northwestern, Brown, Rutgers, and the University of Minnesota all have given in.
Yeah.
So they're beginning to give in to the demands of these numbskulls. All right, coming up straight, Judge, is okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, good. Coming up, the liberal media now forced to admit that Alvin Bragg doesn't have the goods on Donald Trump! I mean.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.